Well, welcome to Tony's fabulous kitchen time. What we're going to do in this video is I'm going to show you how I dehydrate my dinner. What we're going to dehydrate here is minced chicken and 200 grams of rice, tikka masala. This isn't a nutritional thing, so you may do your things differently. 2, health and safety, cleanliness and all that is just me. I'm a bloke. So all that crap just goes out the window. So we've put some water in there. I can't tell you how much. And we're going to put some salt in. I can't tell you how much. I just whack some salt in. We'll put in a little bit of Sainsbury's goof fat. Goof. It's about right, really. A bit of Sainsbury's goose fat. I can't really tell you how much. We'll just sort of, we'll just put some in. I don't think we need too much, so we'll just put, that seems about right, to be honest. So we'll get that on. What I usually like to do is, even though we will be having, even though we'll be putting that in, I like a few herbs, so I just whack a few herbs on. I can't really tell you how much, because as you can tell, I'm just whacking it on. And I do like pepper, so again, I can't tell you how much. We'll just put a sprinkling on the top. You can never really have too much pepper. I always find that, I think in my experience, it's usually better to have pepper and then just add food to it. Right, and then we better start breaking this up. And I suggest that you just move it around a bit. Can't really tell you how much. Just move it around. And then that goose fat, that should. You've got to be very careful, because if you have your utensils like that, just make sure that no part of the utensils touches anything hot and you'll be fine. If you're not too careful, you burn your thumb like I did the other day. Haven't done that in donkeys. Right, so now you can see this is starting to come to boil. So we'll turn that down. If you've got a lid, put a lid on it. And then obviously that can bubble for a bit. We can probably turn that right down to about 3. Yours might be different. This is conduction. You might have gas. You might be primitive. You might be doing this out in the wild somewhere on a log, on a log thing. Who knows? Someone might watch this video in 100 years' time, and stoves at that point, they might be sort of floating stoves. You might gotta do something. I can't tell you what it'll be in 100 years' time. I don't know. And to be fair, I've never really used 2 spatula thing, whatever they're called, together like that. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, probably, kind of get a bit more heat in there. I don't think that's really hot enough yet. If you do enjoy this video, like, subscribe, share, hit that notification button. Thanks very much. Let's get going. And to be honest, I think we're just going to have to leave that for a few minutes. And I think when we're waiting, I think we're probably just as well off having a cup of tea. I forgot to say, bit of salt there. Can't really say how much, but that's probably about enough. I find that for walking particularly, I probably wouldn't put that much salt in generally. Maybe I would. I don't know how much I put in. But when you're walking, you're probably going to be using, losing a lot of salt. So, a bit extra I think is fine. Obviously, as the chicken is cooking, we're probably making quite good progress here with this chicken. Try and break it up a little bit. I mean, it is supposed to be minced chicken after all. I don't normally do it quite as haphazardly as this. But we're making a video, so we're not going to get it right. So I would suggest that you probably get the chicken, like mostly cooked at this stage. I don't think it has to be very exactly cooked. Yeah, I think the rice needs a little bit more. Still a bit chewy. 200 grams of rice is quite a lot of rice. You may not need 200 grams, to be fair, but just chuck it in there like that. And if you've still got a bit of rice stuck to the bottom of your pan, you know, just chuck that on as well. And then basically you've then finished with that pan. You basically then just make sure that's not hot. You then really just want to get the rice. We can turn this down actually now. So just get that in there. You know, maybe just brown the rice off for a few seconds. You may want a bigger pan too. And then, in a nutshell, grab your masala, and you're probably going to need another spoon, and then just chuck it all on. I think the first time I did this, I did sort of think, oh, I just used half, but it's really not worth just using half. Put it all in. I'd probably even be tempted just to get a little bit of water in there and then just chuck that on like that. I can't really say how much water to put on, just whatever feels right really. And we'll just chuck that there. And then really it's then just a matter of moving it around. Oh, that's hard work, this cooking business. If you've got a big dehumidifier thing, then you'd probably be able to do this in one go. When I dehumidify this, or dehydrate this, dehumidify, oh my god. When I dehydrate this, then, you know, I will do it over a couple of goes. Leave it just stewing for, I don't know, however long you want to really, you know, 20 minutes, half an hour. If you forget about it, you know, an hour, I really don't think it matters too much. But yeah, just leave that stewing for however long you want to really now. A couple times in the cooking process, just, you know, move it around a bit. Just taste a little bit. It's not bad. I think from that taster, we can add a sprinkling more salt, a sprinkling more pepper, because it's really not that hot. I've got my own masala. It went out of date 6 years ago, but I think it's fine. So I really wouldn't worry about that. We're just going to chuck a bit more 6-year-old masala in. We've got some out of date paprika. That went out of date 6 years ago as well. Pretty much exactly 6 years, September 2016. We'll put a bit of that in as well. Can't have too much. I can't give you any measurements. You know, you've got to work that one out. I can't. We're not that technical here. That when you work out yourself. But just, you know, let's get it in. It sticks to everything. I'm not really, you know, probably if I was, you know, like really you know, really whatever the word is, you know, maybe I'd put more liquid in. But given that we want to be dehydrating this, there's not really much point in adding more liquid, because, you know, we're basically kind of the dehydration process kind of, you know, is taking place now indirectly. And really that's probably That's probably really, you know, yeah, it's got a bit more of a kick to it now, but it's not, obviously when you're eating this in, you know, make sure you've got toilet paper handy. I usually find that, you know, if I have a curry, I usually end up needing to have a crap not long afterwards, so, you know, just bear that in mind. It's usually quite a good thing to have a curry if you haven't had a crap for about 2 or 3 days. Kind of encourages the encourages the system to, yeah. All right, I think that's done it, because obviously you'll be rehydrating it, and basically that's it. So that's kind of cooked, mixed, prepared. So, you know, I think now we will leave that, let it cool off. I was thinking sometimes I watch my videos back and I laugh myself so much at some of the ridiculous things I get up to, and I was kind of thinking that with this you could just dig a hole, bury the food in the hole, and just sidestep the whole eating digestion part. Yeah, that's definitely spiced it up a bit now. Remember to put your out-of-date things away. Obviously let it turn off. Let it turn off. Obviously let it cool, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so basically put a lump in and just try to make sure that the chicken pieces are quite small. It's minced chicken, so they're not realistically going to be particularly big. Just try to sort of spread it around like that, really. You know, try and make sure that it goes to the edges, and make sure there are some gaps, little gaps here and there. You know, realistically it really is just a matter of just spreading it out, you know, as long as it's loose-ish. You know, as long as you've got some gaps, you know, don't just cover the base of the frame, you know, with food. You know, it needs to be, and not too high, because you don't want it touching the one above. And if some falls through, then that's fine too. If you get a big chicken piece like that, then just cut it up into smaller bits. It really doesn't have to be individual grains of rice. And then if you've got a gap that's a bit too big, then fill it in. But again, just make sure that there is some space. And you'll probably find that between 5 racks, you will probably be able to do half of what you've cooked. So try to spread it out, get it into the corners a bit. So even that big clump that we kind of put on, and you've got little bits of gaps here and there. Like I said, you want little gaps, and just spread it out into the corners. So that's the pan there. You know, we've used a good half. So that's what that looks like once it's in there like that. So then go to dehydrate. With chicken, I would probably dehydrate it at 60 at least, certainly to start with, because 60 degrees is enough to kill most bugs anyway. Plus you'll be boiling it the other end. Timer. Oh, hang on. It says timer. Just take it all the way to 12 hours. Ultimately, I will do this most likely for 24 hours. After 12 hours, so maybe tonight, before I go to bed, I'll maybe reduce it to 50 degrees. But I think for the, you know, the next 10 odd hours, we'll do it at 60 as it's chicken. That's it, that's ready to go, and we will have a look at that later on. Okay, well this is what it looks like after about 10 hours. I would say that that probably is dry because it's pretty much snapping. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it off. I always like to make sure that it's, you know, well and truly done. Basically, I'm just going to give it 12 hours at 40, which will just basically take it to the morning. And then that will just, hopefully, you know, just double finish it off overnight. I don't think you can over dry things, so I tend to make sure that it's dry fully, and then, which usually is after 12 hours, and then I tend to give it another 12 hours but at a lower temperature, just to get that last bit of you know, any last bits of moisture out. Especially as you've got 5 racks in there, it might just, you know, some bits might need a little bit more. After maybe another 10 odd hours, then I just tip it. I think it's all dry now. And it comes off, falls off easily enough. So then you have all this dry. So it was about 20 odd hours in the end. And then what I do, because some of it's quite, you know, not really necessarily as small as I'd like. And you can kind of rotate it around a bit like that. I like to use these, I can't remember what they're called now. The only thing is, it's not very easy to pour in there. Where did I put the top there? So, what it's probably easier to do is to, you know, put it back in there. Some of the bits are still a bit large, but it's fine as long as they're small enough. Just scoop it in with your fingers, I think is what I was doing. When you've done that, just put them to one side, dehumidify the other half, then you'll probably get another one this size, maybe one this size, and then divide them down to approximately 150 grams each. And 150 grams of, you know, dry food is a pretty decent meal from, you know, from memory. Anyway, I hope that's kind of been, you know, a little bit helpful for you. Thanks very much for watching. If you want me to do a bolognese at some point, I'll maybe do a bolognese for you as well. Anyway, thanks very much. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Comments, questions, thoughts, queries, pop them down below.